The Financial Action Task Force, the global money laundering and terrorism financing watchdog, removed Pakistan from a list of countries under increased monitoring, also known as the Grey List. The task force had conducted an on-site visit at the end of August. The on-site team verified that there is a high level of commitment from the Pakistani leadership, sustainability of reforms and commitment to make improvements in the future. FATF President Raja Kumar said steps had also been taken to strengthen risk-based supervision of financial and non-financial institutions, improve asset confiscation outcomes, and investigate and prosecute money laundering. Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was quick to congratulate the country on the development moments before the FATF press conference began. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said Pakistan's exiting the FATF grey list was a vindication of our determined and sustained efforts over the years, particularly commending the role and efforts of Foreign Minister Bilawal, Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa, their teams and all political parties for putting up a united front to get Pakistan out of the grey list. Finance Minister Ishaq Dar said the efforts of the civil military team under the leadership of PM Shahbaz in achieving this goal were highly commendable. Meanwhile, PTI leaders claimed credit for Pakistan's exit from the grey list. Ex-Minister Hamad Azhar said that from October 2018 till March 2022, Pakistan completed all action items related to FATF dual scrutiny. Global ratings agency Fitch cut Pakistan's sovereign credit rating on Friday by a notch to CCC+ from B-, citing further deterioration in the country's external liquidity and funding conditions and a drop in foreign exchange reserves. The drop comes 3 months after Fitch revised down the ranking to B- while downgrading the country's outlook from stable to negative. Fitch typically does not assign outlooks to sovereigns with a rating of CCC+ or below. Recent widespread floods in Pakistan have further weakened the country's economy, already in turmoil with a rising current account deficit, inflation above 20%, and a sharp depreciation of the rupee currency. The agency said the floods, which have killed over 1,700 people and caused more than $30 billion damage to the economy, will undermine Pakistan's efforts to rein in twin fiscal and current account deficits. On the policy front, Fitch said it assumed that Pakistan will continue to receive disbursements under its International Monetary Fund program, but risks to this have been risen. Earlier this month, Moody's Investor Service cut Pakistan's sovereign credit rating by a notch to Caa1 from B3, also citing increased government liquidity and external vulnerability risks following the devastating floods. Debt affordability, a long-standing credit weakness for Pakistan, will remain extremely weak for the foreseeable future. The downgrade has pushed the country into the C- category after 7 years, that is March 2015, the agency said. The Asian Development Bank approved $1.5 billion in financing to help the government provide social protection, promote food security, and support employment amid catastrophic flooding and global supply chain disruptions. It will help fund the government's $2.3 billion counter-cyclical development expenditure program that is structured to cushion the impacts of external shocks, such as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Finance Minister Ishaq Dar also took to Twitter to announce the development, stating that the agreement signing and release of funds would take place next week. The ADB highlighted that the financing would help the poorest families as well as promote gender empowerment and climate change adaptation, which were desperately needed considering the recent floods. Food prices have pushed short-term inflation higher after a week of respite, with salt, bananas, tomatoes, and powdered milk rising at the fastest pace, official data showed on Friday. The sensitive price indicator used to measure weekly inflation increased to 0.35% for the week ending October 20 over the preceding 7 days. However, the weekly inflation was still 27% when compared to the same period a year ago, driven by food items like onions and tomatoes and non-food items like diesel, petrol, and washing soap that have got expensive this year, according to data released by the Pakistan Bureau of Stats. A World Bank report estimated that the average consumer index-based inflation in Pakistan would rise to 23% in the current fiscal year from 12.2% a year ago due to higher domestic energy prices, flood disruptions, and a weaker rupee. The SPI monitors the prices of 51 essential items based on a survey of 50 markets in 17 cities across the country. During the week under review, the prices of 23 out of 51 items increased, 14 decreased, and 14 remained stable. In an opaquely worded notification issued on the Pakistan Stock Exchange, KElectric Limited said changes have been consummated involving IGCF General Partner Limited, a fund manager, and the Infrastructure and Growth Capital Fund, which owns the fund's assets. Analysts interpreted the dense text of the regulatory filing as an acknowledgement of the transfer of KElectric's major shareholding to Sage Venture Group Limited, a British Virgin Islands registered special purpose company wholly owned by Asia Park Investments Limited. KElectric's holding company is Cayman Islands registered KES Power Limited with a shareholding of 66.4%. The government of Pakistan controls 24.36% shareholding in KElectric, while the rest is owned by industrial investors and the general public. The doomed private equity fund Abraj Capital held a majority stake in KES Power Limited until its chief, RF Naqvi, was arrested in 2019 for misappropriating investors' funds. Shanghai Electric Power had agreed to buy a controlling shareholding in KElectric from Abraj back in 2016 for a sum of $1.77 million. But the transaction remains incomplete because the seller has so far failed to obtain the required approvals from different authorities.